Hey everybody, Michelle is back in the building. How y'all doing? I know a lot of people don't like it when you say y'all. Give me a break. But yet we can say, whatever. I'm not gonna go there again, except to say that we just need to clear up our contradictions and sync ourselves up, honey. Sync it up. Because we ought to be at a certain level where and that's it. Just comes with time. Everything comes with time. So I think I'm looking all right. I put a mirror over here to make sure I don't have anything on my face or in my teeth. Everything appears to be fine, but if not, oh well. I ain't re-recording nothing. How about that? I like to have fun if you hadn't picked that up. I know a lot of people are real serious and uptight. Tight and uptight about stuff and just driving themselves insane, actually. So I told you this is going on a year after some series of strange events happened to me about a year ago. I'm sorry. Where I knew that there was some things I had to do. I knew I had to say some things, but I knew I had to say it in a way which it capture the right. Okay, I thought I saw something in the corner. I think I did. I think I do see something, but let's see if it moves. If that bitch starts moving, okay, I'm gonna jump up and get it. How about that? So it was a year ago I decided, well, it was prior to that, I made a decision, and it was in 2022, the beginning of 2022, I made a decision to do some things, say some things that had to be said. But first, I had to make sure I was going to be consistent, and I had to make sure I was going to be walking the talk and just not out there talking just to be getting attention. I don't like a lot of attention, believe it or not. I know that may be hard for some, but I don't. But I know if I got something to do, I got to do it. So what's the best way to do it? Is to do it. How about that? And you have to be creative about it. And I knew I had to be, because I knew what could happen with some of the things that I was going to be saying. I knew it was going to be some blowback. And I knew I was going to be targeted, and I was. It'll be denied, of course. It'll be denied. Because, like I said, I had to be creative as to how I say it, where I say it, and to whom. Okay? So a year ago, I, after properly healing, because I also had to heal from a toxic work environment, a toxic career. So I made sure before I started talking to the universe, to the stars, to the moon and the mountains, because you never know who you're talking to, but somebody is always listening. So I knew I had to make sure I had my shit in order. I had to clear out my secrets if there were any, and there were not no secrets. I wanted to reach out to people that I may have unintentionally harmed, so that, so to make sure that's cleared and neutralized. Because anytime you take certain steps, you have to make sure your own backyard is clean. Your own backyard is mowed, not just the front. In the front of appearances, okay? A front of personas. We all have personas, and those are egos. Okay, cool. We all have it, and we always want to present the best face forward, of course, right? Who doesn't, when your intentions are good or whether your intentions are bad? And that comes in the form of narcissistic behavior. I'll get to that. Anyway, so in other words, I need to make sure people knew I was very transparent about my sexuality, about my situation, about the job I was in. I wasn't hiding anything, and I wanted to make that clear and effective up front, so it doesn't. There's no perception of my intentions. How about that? So So about a year ago, I did that. In other words, I got invited in, and then I started interrupting things, and not interrupting to be malicious, but interrupting the flow, interrupting some of the conversation, because otherwise you're not going to get in. And that means, so in other words, even though you may join a group, and it depends on how long the group has been established, people have already grouped off and got into similar like-mindedness and created their own little group. And they start, hanging out together, physically seeing each other, which is fantastic, actually, to me. That's the whole purpose, isn't it? So, in other words, something can develop, something cannot. There may be like-mindedness, there may be love. Love is love. So if you happen to be in a group and you fall in love, wow, right? Because you're already supposedly in a like-minded space, what do you expect to happen? So I came in, did some disruptive with good intentions. I had to get into the conversation. Because like I said, if you don't get into the conversations, in other words, invite yourself into the conversation, you will get disregarded. And of course you're going to get blowback. Like, who is this bitch? What the fuck she talking about? You're going to get that. I suspended my ego prior to all of that, which allowed me to do that. I could do it on on the social media platform, and I can do it in person too. I have no problem interrupting conversation if I choose to. Usually, there's a big difference between social media platform and when you meet some people in person. When people are on the social media platform, they kind of let go a little bit and act a certain way that they wouldn't act in public. In other words, some get cowardly and some kind of get kind of standoffish. With me, my personality is different in person. I need to make sure I am safe first, and whoever's with me, we are safe first and foremost. Forget all the others BS about attempting to interact with people. People just section themselves off in these cliques, and like I said, you will never get in if you have a certain level of social anxiety. And that's what I was picking up is the reason why some people did not engage as much sometimes online, and they definitely did not engage as much offline. When I used to go to these nightclubs back in the day, there was a certain level of energy in there, which I enjoyed, because I used to just like to go and see the entertainment. There was some great entertainment. You felt like the real person was there. And so I love that environment. I say, okay, this is where I need to be, because like I said, it was great entertainment. Only problem with those clubs, when I used to go to them back in the day, there was just a lot of smoke up in there. They allowed them to smoke. So I used to... who remembers club smoke? They used to call it club smoke. And so your hair would be smelling like club smoke. Listen to me. Well, club smoke. Okay. All right, I thought I heard something. So... so no matter how much you wash your hair, it was there. And I think they even made a cologne out of it because it was a distinctive smell. It was weird. It wasn't offensive. It was something distinctive about it. And that people knew, okay, you were in a club, weren't you? So I used to like to go out on Sundays, believe it or not. I used to like to go in clubs on Sundays or Wednesdays. So because of the vibe about Sundays. Friday was all right, Saturday was all right, but it was something about Sundays and Wednesdays. I don't know what it's like now. I haven't been in the club it's been a while. Almost 58? I don't know. It's been a while. Probably, 2000s, the early 2000s. But anyway, you have to be creative in order to reach people. So that's why a lot of people do a lot of storytelling. so that we can reach you. So, and each time, as time has gone by, it's becoming more difficult than ever to reach people, to talk to people, to get to get the proper attention from people instead of these manufactured attention seekers, which is millions and billions of them. So what we've done, because of our complacency, we've eliminated proper discernment of our situations and these series of events that are happening and speeding up. So I told you there are a lot of people coming forward, calling themselves teachers, calling themselves this, it doesn't matter what they're calling themselves, but there's a lot of personas coming out of the woodworks, coming back in front of everybody. And I told you there's going to be a lot of false teachers, a lot of false messengers. And unfortunately, the individual is going to have to be responsible and accountable for discerning that properly, to know that you're getting proper information. And I told you it has to match up with you. You have to know how you express yourself, and these factors have to be in place all the time. From now on, when you make decisions, or when you decide to listen to someone, or when you decide to follow someone, or whatever your intentions are. Now, if you have genuine intentions to learn, you have to have these factors. Otherwise, you're going to get easily manipulated. Nothing says you won't. And I'll explain that in a minute, but it has to be reasonable, rational, logical. Is it reproducible? Does it make sense? Is it clear and effect? There is called a sensing. What does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What does it feel like? What are you sensing and receiving about it? What kind of energy? You have to do that with every major decision and minor decisions too. All right. So if somebody says to you, look, I can show you how to, turn $1 into $1 million in 60 days. You want to follow me? And also when you're doing all this, you need to, like I said, suspend your ego, attempt to make it impersonal. Don't make everything personal all the time. There's a place and time for that. But, don't take it personal. See if you can dismiss your personal experience with things and see a big picture, okay? And see if you can, handle what people are coming at you. There's a lot of people want you. They want you, and what they want is what you can benefit, how you can benefit them. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with selling to people. Ain't nothing wrong with buying. I do plenty of buying. Trust me, I do my share of buying stuff because I enjoy that. But I'm not a shopper. I don't like hanging out in the mall for 2 and 3 hours. yeah. But you have to. Those factors have to be there if you're going to make a decision. Is this logical? In other words, is it reasonable? Has it been done before? Prove it to me. You have to do that. How do I feel about what he's saying or she's saying? Is the hair standing up on the back of my neck if they're in your face? It is extremely difficult. That's why the narcissistic personalities are on the social media platform, all over the place, all over the social media, all over the internet, because it's so simple. You don't have to properly discern them because it's hard to, because of the technology interference. You don't have that natural energy of exchange between human beings that's unlike any other. And technology, even at the best, no matter how advanced it gets, it cannot touch it. It cannot touch the genuine connection between human beings. But if that human being is underdeveloped, possible. It's almost, yes, it's possible that what can happen. So, a lot of people are, like I said, a lot of people are coming after us, and I say us, we, I, whoever, us, they're coming after, because first of all, there's something they need. It's not that they need it, but there's something they want from you. Whether they want your vote, okay, they want you to choose sides. People want you to choose sides. Okay, are you a what? Or are you a what? Are you, that's what people want. They want to keep pulling you and dividing you. Not only dividing cultures, dividing genders, but dividing you and dividing you in your decision making. So you're always constantly confused and not knowing what the hell is going on. And that's why it's always the urgency. You need to hurry up and make a decision, honey. Do you want me to turn this dollar into $1 million? You need to, they'll keep coming at you, sending you emails and calling you and texting. It just gets overwhelming. Okay. And so if you don't take the opportunity to say, okay, wait a second here. Like I said, I get manipulated. I get deceived just like anybody else. It doesn't matter, but no matter what's coming out of my mouth, I still get wrapped up in it too on the social media platform. But oh well, I know that I need to learn too. And it takes a fool to learn sometimes. It takes a fool to learn. I can easily, again, as everything's advancing itself, with the artificial intelligence, where they can mock your expressions, your movements, and this and that and the other. I had an avatar back in the day, and I can program that avatar to say whatever it wanted to say. It wasn't my voice, but I was able to create it as to what it could say, and say something that I possibly may have said or will say, because I was programming it to do so. A lot of people want to do that for some reason. Because, a lot of people think they're so damn important. Come on. That they need a clone. That they're so important, so busy that, they need that. Okay, and I disagree with that, but you can disagree and agree. It's irrelevant, actually. So, there's a lot of good intention out there of people that are willing to help and willing to teach, willing to share, all this kind of stuff. But yet, they still got to make a living too. They still got to make a living too. And provide for themselves and their families. So that's why, some people are justified in charging fees or justified in this and that and the other. But there are, some that have malicious intentions. They just want you to pay their rent, mortgage, and car payment. They can care less whether their formulas work. And those are usually the people in pyramids, because they just want to get paid. So they want to keep recruiting people. Come. They know their model is flawed. They know that, but bring them in. So, because they'll never be touched, they'll always get paid. Someone even said that. Those in the pyramid will always get paid because they know they're trickling it down and making those at the bottom do all the work and rarely get anything. Okay, a lot of people are discovering that, and I'm feeling good. Like I know I should, but I'm feeling good that some people are being awakened. They ain't sleep. They woke. Wow. I mean, in the ignorance behind those that attempt to erode people of knowledge, there's such ignorance behind all of that. And that, and the people and anyone is in that kind of mentality to suppress people and bury things and attempt to destroy things. I mean, gosh, they definitely do not understand cause and effect. They're reaping what you've sown, and the pendulum and the boomerang. They do not understand that, because if they had understood it, they would not have participated in such behavior at all. They would not want to be a part of it, because what that's doing is a pendulum, so it can strike anybody, you and your family. It's that type of energy. It can cause your family or unsuspected people that you love to be affected by your behaviors and actions. We have to consider that, but we don't. And usually I told you those so-called leaders, the so-called scientists, the so-called this or that, who want to be spokeswoman for expert information or expert knowledge, or they want to be a representative. Like I said, no one represents you, no one represents me. I am responsible for me, because trust me, they say they're representing. Okay, do something that's inappropriate, and where do they go? Oh no, they'll disappear like, honey, like, you won't see them ever. They'll drop your ass. So many people ought to know that when they're dealing with certain high celebrity type people that are endorsing them and pushing them. But then then they'll leave you up there in that pedestal of fantasy, and then they gone to somebody else, or they going to get something to eat. How about that? And they leave you falling and crashing and burning, and then they don't know you no more. I don't know her. That's what we do. That's what happens, So, again, there are genuine people out there wanting to help us, all of us. And that has always been the case. But we've disregarded that because we're not applying proper assessments, meaning, what does it sound like? What does it look like? What does it smell like? You have to have all that incorporated into a decision to say, okay, is this reproducible? Is this smoke and mirrors? Is this rambling? In most cases, it is rambling and talking in circles. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And so for me, like I said, when I'm attempting to process information, I attempt to reproduce it in my mind. Okay, what the fuck is he or she talking about? And it has to make sense to me. And if it doesn't, I ought to be allowed to say, okay, can you give me some clarification? But as children, we weren't not allowed to do that. Don't you be asking adults questions like that? Children are to be, what do they say? Children are to not be seen, not be heard, or something like that. I mean, can you imagine being told that? You are not to be seen or heard. And there's a lot of it was just mistakes. That's all. You don't, if you were a parent and you may have been involved in that type of indoctrination, keep in mind and know that you were not alone in that. You were not also, you're not necessarily to blame per se, but you had to understand and have some empathy and compassion and realize, you don't want to say, would you want someone to say that to you? So imagine you saying that to your children. And that's why I say I get really, really concerned, like I said, when the kind of tones and sounds that come out of some mother's mouth towards their children. And I've been witness to that. And in most cases, there's not a thing I can do. Those are not, because the parents said, you don't have no children, you don't know what it's like. Okay, if that's what you believe. I just put myself in your child's feet. That's all. And visualize if someone was talking to me how I would feel. And it's not good. Okay, because like I said, I notice sometimes when parents are talking to their children, what they're saying to them. And like I said, I met someone some years back, they were acting so sweet and just so innocent until this person started talking to their children. And it struck me to where tears were falling out of my eyes. Because I put myself in those children's shoes and think, wow. Because my mom had her way of talking to us, but I knew subconsciously there was something more to that, how she was talking to people. Because I remember one time she was going at me, and I thought she was looking at me. I stepped to the side and she was still looking forward. She didn't even know I looked to the side. So I mean, she was just unconscious and going off. And that's when it snapped to me that, okay, it's not me personally that she's going after. Even though she used to. Always. And I remember one of my brothers said to me, you may need to move out because you're the one causing mom, he was like blaming me for her behavior. How stupid is that? A lot of people are stupid. I mean, stupid thinking, Not stupid. I love my brothers, but we all have to develop and be realistic and understand, okay, how am I to blame for someone else's behavior? I'm only responsible for my behavior. Okay? And so that's when I started to figure my mom out. I'm like, okay, she's dealing with something internal, not external. She's just taking it out on externally, but it's all inside. It was all inside her. And she needed to work that out on her own, just like all of us have to. Okay? So in other words, when you're projecting and going off and people and arguing with them, and that's you. Okay? That's you. And then also, in these certain kind of tones and languages we have with people. So again, there's going to be a lot of false teachers out there, false messengers, false prophets, false this and that. But it's your responsibility to determine that. And if you're not using all of your faculties of, like I said, of hearing and sense, doing that, if something were to happen, it's not the pastor's fault. It's not the teacher's fault. You have free will if you're an adult. Or because the pastor says, okay, let's go jump off a mountain. Are you going to jump off a mountain? Or jump out of a plane? Because my teacher told me to do it. My teacher told me to take off my mask. Okay? And especially if you're an adult, you ought to know better, is my point. And we're at a stage, like I said, we're running out of time. We're running out of time. So I'm going to do some more research about that before I start talking about the time element. But I just wanted to come on through and share some things while I'm thinking about it. Because, tomorrow I have some appointments, And I just want, there are going to be some series of events. And you have to be prepared. You have to snap out of it and be grounded in your reality and make sure you're ready. Are you ready? That's the question. Are you ready? So remember, all of us can be manipulated, especially on the social media platform. All of us, even the best of us. Okay? All of us can be used and abused, indoctrinated, hypnotized, brainwashed, indoctrination. All of that can happen to all of us, especially with this social media platform and in person, also with sounds and tones and the atmosphere. You remember people were complaining in Cuba about something? Well, about hearing some type of sounds and tones. Was that true, or was that fabrication? Was that a lie? You just never know. When someone's lying to you, because people have gotten they've become perfect at it. But you know why? Because they can go to a social media platform or on the internet, and what they can do is mimic. That's what narcissists do. They mimic and morph themselves into whoever you want them to be, or whoever they have to be to get what they want. The internet is full of it, where they can perpetrate to be experts. All right? And they're just fraud. Okay? No experience at all. They just know how to use the right song, the right sounds and tones with their voice, and how they can express themselves and can convince you. And that's why I say I'd be very careful with my hands, because they can do that too and hypnotize you with their hands and all that moving around, just carrying on. That's why you have to know how you express yourself so you can guard yourself against it as best you can. I said to people, oh yeah, I'm visual. I am visual, but there's something spiritual too that they can't touch. And that's my sensing and receiving. So let's all vow to evolve our consciousness enough where that is activated. Our sensing and receiving. It's there, but it's not activated. Because we're relying too much on on this surface and not going deeper within. Okay? Hope all that makes sense. Okay? I can hear some birds outside. Cool. That makes me happy if I can hear birds in the midst of all of this chaos and destruction. Okay? I want to send peace and love to everybody all over the stars and moon and mountains. And trust me, I'll be back.